A night of deep connection. Lily and Michael had been together for years. But tonight was different. As they stood together in the soft glow of candlelight, everything felt new. Lily, with her radiant beauty and kind eyes, had always captivated Michael. But tonight it wasn't just her appearance that took his breath away. It was the deep bond they had built over time, the love that had grown through shared laughter, struggles, and dreams. They had talked about this moment often, imagining it, preparing for it in their own way. Now, standing in their quiet, cozy bedroom, there was a sense of calm between them, a quiet understanding that this was a new chapter in their journey as a couple. Michael gently reached out, taking Lily's hand, and she smiled softly at him, her heart racing but filled with excitement. The world outside faded away as they focused only on each other, moving closer, their bodies speaking the words their hearts had known for so long. This was more than a physical moment. It was the culmination of years of love, trust, and shared life. As they kissed for the first time in that way, the warmth between them grew, and their closeness deepened. They moved gently, discovering one another in a way they hadn't before, sharing their love through touch, feeling both nervous and excited. It wasn't just passion, it was an expression of the deep love that had been built over time. The night was full of tenderness, laughter, and a few awkward moments. But it was perfect because it was real, just like their relationship. When the morning light began to creep through the window, they lay together, hearts full, closer than ever before. Their first time was more than just a physical experience. It was a celebration of their love, a connection that would only grow stronger from that night forward, a deeper bond. The next morning, sunlight gently streamed into their room, casting a soft glow across the bed. Lee stirred first, feeling Michael's arm wrapped protectively around her. The memories of the night before washed over her, and a soft smile crept onto her face. It wasn't just the intimacy they shared. It was the comfort and safety she felt in his presence. Michael, feeling her move, slowly opened his eyes, gazing at her with a peaceful expression. "Morning," he whispered, his voice low and affectionate. He traced a light finger across her arm, their connection still palpable from the night before. "Morning," Lily replied, her voice warm with contentment. They lay there in silence for a few moments, enjoying the closeness. It felt as though something between them had shifted, becoming even stronger. There was no rush, no pressure, just the peaceful, intimate calm that came from knowing they had crossed a new threshold together. Eventually, Michael spoke. "Last night, it wasn't what I expected. It was so much more." Lily turned toward him, her eyes searching his. "I feel the same," she said softly. "It was perfect because it was us. Real. I wouldn't have wanted it any other way." They laughed gently, reminiscing over the small moments that made the night special, the way they had fumbled over the covers, the nervousness that turned into laughter, and the sweet conversations that filled the pauses. There was a sense of relief between them now, the unspoken tension of anticipation having been replaced by a deeper, more meaningful connection. The rest of the day flowed naturally. They spent it together, not doing anything particularly special, just enjoying each other's company. They cooked breakfast, went for a walk, and talked about everything from their favorite memories to their hopes for the future. Every small moment seemed to sparkle with the lingering warmth of the night before. That evening, as they sat on the couch, Michael looked over at Lily, his eyes full of affection. "I don't know how I got so lucky to have you in my life," he said quietly. Lily blushed, her heart swelling with love. "It's not luck, Michael. It's us. We've built this together." He leaned in, kissing her softly, and they both knew that the bond they shared was only going to grow deeper with time. Their first intimate night together had been a beautiful step in their relationship, but it was just the beginning of a lifetime of shared love, experiences, and memories. That night, as they curled up together under the covers, there was no nervousness, no uncertainty, just the peaceful understanding that they were meant for each other. Forever. The strength of love. The days that followed were a seamless continuation of the deep connection Lily and Michael had built. They fell into an easy rhythm, where everything from the simplest of conversations to shared silences felt more intimate, more profound. The first night had opened a door, and behind it was a stronger version of their love. A love that now carried both emotional and physical intimacy in perfect harmony. One evening, as they sat together after a long day, the conversation took a quiet turn. They were watching the sunset from their small balcony, wrapped in a blanket, their fingers intertwined. Michael gazed at the horizon, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Do you ever think about the future?" he asked softly. Lily glanced at him, her heart skipping slightly. "Of course, it's hard not to. I imagine what our lives will look like, where we'll be, what we'll accomplish together." Michael nodded. "I do too. But more than anything, I think about us, about how we'll keep growing, how we'll face whatever life throws at us together." He turned to face her, his eyes serious. "You're my person, Lily. Whatever happens, wherever we go, I want to face it with you by my side." Lily felt her heart swell with emotion. She had always known Michael to be sincere and deeply committed. But hearing these words spoken aloud, especially after everything they had already shared, brought a tear to her eye. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. "I want the same thing," she whispered. "You and me, always." They sat like that for a long while, watching the sky change colors, the silence between them full of unspoken promises. It was in these quiet moments that their bond solidified even further. They didn't need grand gestures or dramatic declarations to prove their love. It was there in every touch, every shared glance, every whispered word. In the following months, life brought its usual challenges. Work was demanding, their schedules grew tighter, and at times they were both exhausted. But despite the chaos, they always found their way back to each other. Their connection was their anchor, and even on the hardest days, they made time to nurture what they had. One night, after a particularly long week, they found themselves back in their bedroom, surrounded by the familiar warmth of their shared space. Michael looked at Lily, and in the quiet of that moment, he felt the same rush of love he had the first night they were intimate. He reached out to her, pulling her close, and they lay together in comfortable silence. "I love you," Michael whispered, his voice heavy with emotion. Lily smiled softly, her fingers tracing gentle patterns on his chest. "I love you too, so much." Their lips met in a tender kiss, one that spoke of all the love, trust, and commitment they had built together as they held each other. It was clear that their love wasn't just a fleeting moment of passion. It was a lifetime of connection, built on the foundation of their first intimate night together and strengthened by every moment since. And as they drifted off to sleep in each other's arms, they both knew that this love, their love, was the kind that would last forever, building a life together. Months turned into years, and Lily and Michael's relationship only deepened. They shared everything: their dreams, their fears, and even the small, mundane details of daily life. What had started as a passionate connection had blossomed into a strong, unwavering partnership. Every challenge they faced only made them stronger together, and their bond grew into something unshakable. One autumn afternoon, as they were preparing dinner together in their cozy kitchen, Michael suddenly paused. He had been unusually quiet that day, his mind occupied with something Lily couldn't quite figure out. She noticed the way his hands stilled, the way his eyes focused on something distant. Gently, she placed her hand on his arm. "Michael, is everything okay?" she asked softly, her gaze searching his face. He turned toward her, a tender but serious expression in his eyes. "There's something I've been wanting to talk to you about," he began, his voice steady but full of emotion. "We've been through so much together, and I can't imagine my life without you. I don't want to just imagine a future with you, I want to build it, starting now." Lily felt her heart race as she listened, her eyes widening slightly as she tried to anticipate his next words. Michael took a deep breath, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a simple but beautiful ring, one that glittered in the soft light of their kitchen. "Lily," he said, his voice full of love and sincerity, "will you marry me? Will you spend the rest of your life with me as my partner, my love, and my everything?" Lily's hand flew to her mouth, tears instantly welling up in her eyes. She hadn't expected this, not in this quiet moment, but it was so perfectly them. No grand gestures or elaborate plans, just love, pure and simple, shared in the space that had come to mean so much to both of them. "Yes," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Yes, Michael, 1,000 times yes." He slid the ring onto her finger, and they stood there for a moment, simply holding each other, the weight of the moment sinking in. It was the next step in their journey, one that they both knew was inevitable from the moment they fell in love. Their wedding was a small, intimate affair, held a few months later in the garden of a family friend. It was simple, but it was everything they wanted, surrounded by the people they loved most, exchanging vows that spoke of the deep connection they had built over time. There were no grand speeches or elaborate decor. Instead, the day was filled with laughter, warmth, and the joy of two souls coming together in a bond that had been long in the making. As they stood there, hand in hand, looking into each other's eyes, they both felt a sense of peace. Their journey had been beautiful so far, but they knew that the future would hold even more love, more challenges, more growth, and through it all, they would face everything together, just as they always had. That night, after the celebrations had died down and they returned to their home, they found themselves back in their bedroom. The same room where their journey of intimacy had begun years before. It felt different now, though, filled with the weight of their shared history and the promise of their future. Michael pulled Lily close, his hands resting gently on her waist. "We've come so far," he whispered, his forehead resting against hers. Lily smiled softly, her hands wrapping around his neck. "And we've got so much further to go." They kissed, a soft, lingering kiss that held all the love they had built over the years. That night, as they lay in each other's arms, they both knew that this was just the beginning of the next chapter. Their love had carried them through so much already, and they had no doubt that it would continue to carry them through whatever came next. The journey ahead. The first few months of marriage flew by in a whirlwind of joy and discovery. Lily and Michael settled into their new life as a married couple, embracing the small changes that came with sharing a home. They reveled in the intimacy of daily routines, from cooking together in the kitchen to binge-watching their favorite shows on the couch, always finding ways to infuse laughter and love into the ordinary moments. One Saturday morning, as the sun poured through their kitchen window, Lily was flipping pancakes while Michael brewed coffee. The smell of breakfast filled the air, and she felt a warm contentment wash over her. It was simple, but perfect, an everyday slice of life that they both cherished. "Hey, what do you think about taking a trip?" Michael asked, breaking her reverie. He leaned against the counter, a playful smile on his face. "Just the two of us. Somewhere we can explore and relax." Lily's heart skipped a beat. She loved the idea of an adventure, a chance to reconnect and discover new places together. "That sounds amazing. Where do you have in mind?" Michael thought for a moment before replying. "How about a cozy cabin in the mountains? We could hike during the day and stargaze at night. Just the two of us and nature." "Perfect," Lily exclaimed, feeling excitement bubbling up inside her. "I'll start looking for places right now." After some research, they booked a charming cabin nestled in the mountains, surrounded by tall trees and breathtaking views. They packed their bags, looking forward to the much-needed escape from their busy lives. As the day of their trip arrived, they drove along winding roads, the scenery transforming from bustling city streets to tranquil landscapes filled with greenery and the promise of adventure. When they finally arrived at the cabin, they were captivated by the beauty of their surroundings. The air was crisp and fresh, filled with the sounds of nature. Inside, the cabin was rustic yet cozy, with a fireplace that beckoned them to snuggle up together. They unpacked their things, their laughter echoing off the wooden walls as they settled in. That evening, after a day of exploring the nearby trails, they returned to the cabin, tired but happy. As dusk settled, they lit a fire in the fireplace, the flames dancing and casting a warm glow around the room. Sitting together on the floor with mugs of hot cocoa in hand, they reflected on their day. "Today was incredible," Michael said, looking into Lily's eyes. "I love experiencing new places with you." Lily smiled, her heart full. "Me too. It reminds me of how much we still have to discover together." As the fire crackled, they found themselves drawn to one another, the intimacy of the day igniting a spark that had always been there. They kissed softly, the warmth of the flames surrounding them as they deepened their embrace. That night, their connection blossomed in a new way. As they explored each other in the candlelit ambience of their cabin, the intimacy they had shared in the past was now infused with the richness of their marriage, transforming their bond into something even more profound. It was a celebration of their love, built on years of trust, laughter, and shared dreams. The days in the mountains passed blissfully, filled with hikes, quiet moments by the fire, and the laughter that echoed through the cabin walls. They forged new memories that would last a lifetime, each day solidifying the foundation of their marriage. On their last night, as they sat outside under a canopy of stars, they held hands and shared their hopes for the future. "I want to travel more, see new places, and experience everything this world has to offer," Lily said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Michael nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "Me too. And I want us to keep growing together, to face everything life throws at us side by side." "Together," Lily echoed, her heart swelling with love. As they gazed up at the vast expanse of stars, they knew that whatever the future held, they would embrace it as partners, navigating life's adventures together. The love they had nurtured over the years had brought them to this moment, and it was clear that their journey was only just beginning. The homecoming. Returning home after their mountain getaway felt different for Lily and Michael. The air was filled with a newfound sense of purpose, the experiences they shared having deepened their connection in ways they hadn't anticipated. As they unpacked their bags, they reminisced about their favorite moments, hiking to a breathtaking viewpoint, laughing as they stumbled through the forest, and those quiet nights spent under the stars. Once settled back into their routine, they found joy in the small moments. Mornings were filled with cozy breakfast rituals, while evenings were spent cooking together, experimenting with new recipes, and sharing stories from their day. Life had a rhythm that felt satisfying and comfortable, but they both felt a tingle of excitement, a desire to add something new to their lives. One evening, as they sat on the couch watching a documentary about sustainable living, a thought crossed Lily's mind. What if we did something different, something meaningful? She asked, glancing at Michael. "I mean, we both care about the environment, and I've always wanted to get involved in something like community gardening or a local conservation project." Michael's eyes lit up. "That's a great idea. We could make a difference right here at home. Plus, it would give us a chance to meet new people who share our interests." That weekend, they began researching local organizations and quickly found a community garden that welcomed volunteers. Excited by the prospect, they signed up for a weekend event, eager to roll up their sleeves and contribute. On the day of their first volunteering session, they arrived at the garden early, greeted by the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. A diverse group of people was already there, digging, planting, and laughing together. Lily and Michael jumped right in, pulling on gardening gloves and immersing themselves in the work. As they tended to the garden, they connected with fellow volunteers, sharing stories and laughter. They met families, retirees, and students, all united by a passion for sustainability and community. The experience was not just about gardening. It was about building relationships, creating a sense of belonging, and contributing to something bigger than themselves. Over the following months, volunteering became a cherished routine for Lily and Michael. They learned about different plants, the importance of local ecosystems, and sustainable practices. Each Saturday brought new friendships and a sense of accomplishment as they watched. Their efforts transformed the garden into a vibrant space that brought joy to the community. One sunny afternoon, as they worked side by side, Michael turned to Lily, a thoughtful look on his face. "You know, this has been amazing. I love seeing how passionate everyone is about making a difference. It feels good to be part of something like this." Lily nodded, a smile spreading across her face. "I agree. It's fulfilling to see how even small efforts can have a big impact. And I love doing this with you." As they continued to plant flowers, they shared their hopes and dreams for the future, discussing their desire to start a family, travel more, and perhaps even own a home with a garden of their own someday. Each dream seemed to weave into the fabric of their shared life, creating a tapestry rich with love, hope, and possibility. One day, as they were wrapping up a session at the garden, they noticed a small group of children gathered around, curiously watching them. Lily knelt down to speak with them, inviting them to join in. Soon, the kids were planting seeds alongside her, giggling and asking questions. Michael joined in, teaching them about the different plants and their benefits. Watching the children's excitement, Lily turned to Michael, her heart full. "This is what it's all about," she said, beaming, sharing knowledge and inspiring the next generation. Michael smiled back, his eyes shining with admiration. "You're going to be an amazing mom someday," he said softly, the sincerity in his voice resonating deeply with Lily. As they walked home that evening, hand in hand, the sun setting behind them, they felt a sense of fulfillment they hadn't anticipated. Their love had deepened through their shared experiences, and now they were not only building a life together, but also contributing to their community in meaningful ways. A new chapter. As summer faded into autumn, the community garden flourished. Much like Lily and Michael's relationship, they had cultivated not only plants, but also friendships and a sense of belonging. One evening, after a fulfilling day of volunteering, they returned home, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink. Sitting on their porch, they shared a quiet moment, sipping on warm apple cider. The air was crisp, filled with the earthy scent of fallen leaves. Michael turned to Lily, his heart swelling with gratitude. "You know, I never imagined I could feel so complete. Working in the garden, meeting new friends, and building our dreams together, it's all so beautiful." Lily smiled, her eyes sparkling in the soft light. "I feel the same way. This is just the beginning for us, isn't it?" Michael nodded, then took a deep breath, his gaze turning serious yet tender. "Lily, I want to take another step in our journey. I love our life together, and I can't imagine sharing it with anyone else. I want to start a family with you, to raise children who will grow up in a world where love, community, and sustainability are at the core of who they are." Tears of joy filled Lily's eyes as she realized the depth of his commitment. "I want that too, more than anything," she whispered, feeling a rush of emotion. In that moment, they both knew that their shared dreams were not just aspirations. They were a promise to each other, a promise of love, growth, and adventure. The garden had taught them the importance of nurturing not just plants, but also relationships. and they were ready to nurture a family of their own. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow around them, Lily and Michael embraced, feeling the weight of their shared future resting lightly upon their hearts. Together, they were ready to embark on this new chapter, hand in hand, knowing that their love would continue to grow, just like the garden they had so lovingly tended. And with that, their journey together unfolded filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities.